All right, and we're live.
Hi guys, I'm Nata's hair and I'm here with L'Oreal Professional and Behind the Chair to show you guys how we do a transformative copper on hair without any lightener. So I'm going to prep the hair with Metal Detox. This neutralizes metals in the hair, and I really like to start with this because I really want a clean, easy canvas to color on. I don't want to fight against things. When I was in fresh out of beauty school, I thought that you had to bleach a girl out and then tone them with copper to get a pretty copper. Now that I'm a little more seasoned, I remembered hey, color does lift the hair and deposit. So it's a great tool to use behind your chair. I can get my client out in about an hour to an hour and a half, and it obviously creates a very big transformation. So you can see her roots. She has about a quarter of an inch. Her roots are actually a level, I want to say 4 or 5 naturally. I'm going in with Majoral by L'Oreal Professional 7.4 and 6.46. This is copper red and copper. I'm using a 30 volume developer. I chose to go in with 30 because I want to get a 7 copper. And what's really nice about developers is they're pretty foolproof, right? 30, so 3 levels. So 1, 2, 3, that's going to lift her 4 to about a 7, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I chose to go in though with a 6 and a 7 because I do want that color to be very solid. When you go on with those lighter shades, you can kind of find that the hair will lift so much and then they're a little hollowed out. So I want to make sure that she has enough pigment in there to make sure it really, really lasts. I'm going in, I'm just going to outline her whole hairline. That way I have a guide to work on. I love to do this little trick because we are going to put 2 different formulas on her. I'm using a darker bowl for her roots and a lighter bowl for her ends. That way I know that, hey, the dark goes on her roots and the light goes on her ends. Nothing's worse than putting your formula in the wrong place. I think we've all done that before. I've definitely dyed somebody's ends brown and their top I've toned with a pale blonde, and it obviously did nothing. So this really helps you know that you're putting the formula in the right place. I like to start in the front hairline because I find that this is a pretty decent cold shaft, and I really want that color to be nice and opaque. So I'm going through slice by slice, making sure it's really well saturated. Is anybody else loving how many coppers are in style right now?
Everybody is loving this. We are here. No worries.
I really want to make sure to not overlap a lot on the color because I don't want to create a ton of color buildup bands, which are really common with permanent color. If you keep placing the same root shade over the same part of hair, you are going to see a band just because all those molecules are going to build up on the hair. Coppers are massive here. Yeah, they're literally everywhere. I think everybody wants to go copper. It's going to be so funny when it hits about 6 months and everybody's doing color corrections. But what's really nice about using permanent color is I can just go ahead and do a full bleach out on her to get it out and then go from there once she's over the color. Now I'm going back through, just kind of tapping it in. and making sure everything's really saturated. With copper, you really need to make sure that everything's evenly saturated, especially with her roots being this dark. I chose to use the red with the copper because I really want to see more richness from the formula and I don't want it super hollow. So if somebody wants a more vibrant copper, you're going to go in with straight copper. If you want to see more of that richness, you're going to go in with a little bit of red in your formula. And L'Oreal Pro has like the prettiest, shiniest reds. I've been obsessed with them lately. If you want extra lift on this, what I would actually do is go ahead and place it in between foils, each slice. That way you have the incubation to lift. But since I don't want her to lift to that max incubation, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn her, and you can kind of see that color start developing. It looks purple, but you do have to trust the process, especially with an oxidative color. I like to use these really wide brushes too. That way I don't overly fluff the hair and then I get like max amount of coverage. The sun is coming in. I am late. What are we doing to the rest of the hair? So right now we're just going in and retouching her grown out level 4 roots with 6 CR and 7 C. So that's red, copper, and copper. And then we're gonna go on her ends, and as you can see, her ends are like a little dingy. They're not 100% even. So we're gonna go in with Dia Light by L'Oreal Professional with their 6 volume activator because I just want to deposit. I don't need to lift any of her ends with 7C and 7CCC, just so I have that extra pigment so it kind of lasts a little bit longer. Now that I have pretty much all her roots done, I go in and I always make sure that I like double cape them or put some kind of plastic bib over them, especially with coppers and reds. This is like stain city, so you really want to be careful with everything around you, and especially your clients' clothes. You want them to leave looking really nice, especially so you can get that Instagram pic afterwards. So I don't want to put this toner into her root shade because I really need that like at a 30 volume. I don't want to lower the developer. So right below it, I'm going to just go ahead and feather. And with my hands, I'm going to go ahead and mush it pretty much together. And then I'm going to go down on the rest of her hair. I'm combing it through so I make sure I get max saturation. So I'm going to take it slice by slice. And if I feel like I want to apply more root because I feel like it's a little not as saturated on there, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then I'm going right under that. I'm going to smash them to meet them. And then I'm just going to comb it down and through. What is your favorite type of brush to use for this? So I like the brushes with a comb on the end just to make sure they're really saturated. Sometimes you have to be careful using a comb with lightener, but since we are going in with color, it's not making the hair as fragile. So you can go ahead and comb it through without worrying about extra breakage.
Someone asked, so 30 vol at the root and what vol for the rest?
So I'm doing 30 vol at the root, and then I'm actually doing 6 vol for the rest. I'm just depositing. You can kind of see where the sun's hitting all those like really light little blonde pieces in there. She actually had a natural balayage before this, so I just need to deposit onto her hair. I can get this service done in about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you can charge. I like to do a root retouch plus an extra bowl because you're probably using an extra bowl, and then maybe an all-over toner on top of that. And that way it is more than just a plain root retouch and like a plain toner because you are doing a little bit more to the hair. Let's try to turn her so the light is like not in her face. It's this way. Hi, I'm just joining in. What are we learning today? Today we were learning how to do a copper transformation without any lightener. When I first started doing hair, I used to bleach out everybody and tone them to a pretty copper color. But you can utilize color, just like basics of beauty school. Color does lift the hair. So she has around a natural level 4. And we're going in with 6 CR, which is 6 copper red, and 7 C, which is 7 copper from Majoral L'Oreal Professional, and 30 volume at her root. That way it lifts it about 3 levels and deposits that 6 C and 6 CR and gives her a beautiful copper transformation without using any lightener. Again, if I want extra lift, I would incubate this, but since I don't need any extra lift, I'm going to choose not to incubate this at all. Can you grab me a towel? And then we're going to move. Let's move her. We are in Arizona and the sun is just always shining in the middle of the day. How does this color fade? As you can kind of tell, the fadage is really pretty. She's kind of fading a lighter copper, almost like a strawberry color because of her pre-lightened ends, where the roots, it kind of held a little bit better. But it is perfect to let it kind of fade a little bit because then you can get your clients to come back in a timely manner, make some money, and keep their copper nice and fresh by doing toners and quick little root retouches.
Someone said, what type of at-home care do you recommend for this type of client/service?
I like any kind of post-color shampoo and conditioner. I always tell them to rinse their hair in freezing cold water. Freezing cold water is going to allow their color to hold. I always suggest a water softener because any kind of water is usually pretty hard no matter where you're at. Since I'm in Arizona, our water literally has chlorine in it. So water softener is a must to make our color last. I suggest shampooing less if they shampoo often. Try to avoid shampooing. And then I always suggest for the stylist to start with like a pre-treatment. So in this case, I used metal detox to neutralize the metals in her hair. That way I get a clean, even canvas to work on. And always a sulfate-free shampoo and conditioner. Well, shampoo.
Do you have to adjust formula at root for gray hair?
Depending on your result, yes and no. So if she had gray hair, I would totally feel comfortable with doing this same formula. But if she wanted some of her gray to kind of shine through, I would probably use a lower developer. And if her grays are really stubborn, I would go in with a higher developer. So it really is case by case. It's always good to do a strand test. If you're a little unwary about these colors or the formula, it's so great to have your client come in and just try a few different formulas in the back of her head, see which one works the best, and then go with that.
How long is the pre-treatment, and can you share more about it? I'm not familiar with the detox.
The pre-treatment is a spray, and here it is. It is a spray called Metal Detox. All you have to do before your color service is just go ahead and spray it through evenly throughout her hair. Let it sit for 4 minutes, and then you can start your color or lightening service. It's compatible with any color line. So any color line, you can still use Metal Detox. Then you shampoo post-color with the Metal Detox shampoo. So the spray neutralizes the metals in the hair, and the shampoo pretty much removes them. And then you're going to get a perfect canvas to tone on, do whatever you need to do. And then I like to go in afterwards and use the Metal Detox mask, which kind of puts a cover on the cuticles so that they don't let those metals in again.
Someone says, I have level 2 hair, and what would I need to achieve the similar color?
You would need to use a 40 developer and probably incubate it, just because you need max lift. You probably couldn't get as light as a 7, maybe if you're lucky and your hair lifts really well, depending on how tight your cuticles packed. But I would definitely do like a 6C or a 6CR and use a 40 developer and put it in between foils. That way you get max incubation. This is a service though for natural or pre-lightened hair. If you have permanent color already in the hair or box dye, you do have to remember color does not lift color. I know I've been dying to do my hair copper. I'm getting the itch from seeing everybody. For my beautiful client, I'm going to choose to not put like a plastic cap over this. But if I did want more lift at her root, I would put a plastic cap over this. So it wasn't as incubated as foils would be, but it does keep all that heat in. But since I'm okay with the 3 levels of lift, I only want it at like a 6. I'm not going to worry about that. The processing time for your color line for L'Oreal Professional, it's always going to be on the box, which is really great. I like to let it sit for at least 30 minutes just to really make sure that everything is all good and saturated. But if her grays are really stubborn or her hair is a little stubborn, I'll let it sit for longer and then lightly put the heat on it all over without incubation, like a blow dryer of some sorts. L'Oreal Professional has this great spray retouch, which you can also sell to clients after they get a color like this. That way, when their roots are showing and they have not come to the salon yet, they can go ahead and spray it. You can see how like see-through her ends are, especially in the sunlight. And that's why we're going in with just a 6 volume. We just need a deposit. Dia Light by L'Oreal Professional is an acidic base toner. So it's acid, so it's just going to deposit. Alkaline lifts. So acid is great to use on coarse ends, somebody that might change their mind on their hair color, or somebody that you just like don't want to lift them at all. Look down. I always make sure I get all their crazy little baby hairs in the back, especially since like sleek buns and sleek ponies are in right now. No hairs left behind. And you don't want your clients to text you and be like, my like baby hairs are already brown. So now I'm just going in and placing the Dia Light on her hair, kind of barely smooshing it into that 30 volume. Because I don't want to get 30 volume on her ends, and I don't want to get the toner on her roots.
Someone said, do you use the same formula throughout the head?
So the formula for the roots is 6 CR and 7 C. It's 50-50. And then 30 volume. And the formula for ends is just 7 C and Dia Light. So it's not the exact same formula, but it is very similar. Depending on the look, I'll use the exact same formula or the canvas. Kind of combing her hair before I put the toner on. And then I'm just smashing that toner in and making sure I'm really evenly saturated. I do like utilizing the comb because then you can see where you did not saturate the color. Kind of see that I missed a spot right there, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure it's really saturated. So I'm combing it down. I really want to make sure the hair is nice and flat and smooth for me so that toner gets really evenly saturated. I'm just blending it up into that root. I love utilizing my fingers. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's really saturated and take it all the way down. If I wanted the ends to be lighter, I could totally use a different formula, like a 8, and then give her more of like an ombre type of look since her ends are pretty light.
What's your favorite copper?
My
Or
favorite copper.
Who is your favorite copper queen?
Who's your favorite copper queen? That is my friend Nyana, and I actually color her hair copper. She's the original copper. She was doing it before. What is it? Was it Kendall Jenner? I think Kendall Jenner. To get stainage off their nape or their neck, after I'm done, obviously I'm going to make sure I wipe it really nice and clean for her. But when I take her to the bowl afterwards, I'm actually going to keep my color and apply more on and massage it in because it actually does remove the color. So that's always good to know. So you don't leave your clients looking crazy and you can take that after picture.
Do you think coppers are here to stay or variations of them?
I think it's going to turn into variations of them, but I do think coppers are here to stay. Right now, the warm tones are just taking over the game with Hailey Bieber and her rich brunette, Kendall Jenner and her copper. It's just going to really stay for a little while because all these celebrities that are doing the copper, it's going to take them sessions and time to remove that copper fully. And the same thing goes for our clients.
Do coppers fade faster than other colors?
Copper and reds have the biggest molecule and they fade the fastest, but they're the hardest to get out. So that's going to be the very interesting fact about them. You really have to make sure your client is good about their at-home care and they do come in frequently for their toners. I say like once the third time their hair is colored copper, it's the best because it really sticks. But I always like to do it on dry hair too, just to make sure I get full opacity and that color is really opaque. Really loud. What L'Oreal products do you recommend for at home? For my curly girls, I love their Curl Expression. So I actually use their Curl Expression at home. They have the best blow dry sprays in the game and creams. And they're all good for color safe hair. So now I'm going in and I'm taking my towel and I'm just going ahead and making sure that I remove all the color stains from her neck. That way she does not look crazy. What I like to do to double check my formula is I like to go through now vertically because I did her whole head horizontally. So now I'm going through vertically and I'm just triple checking that I got her roots all evenly saturated because I know I did it this way. So now I'm doing it vertically. No spots left behind. I got that one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great tip. Thank you. So same thing on the other side. I also really like to, when I'm talking to my clients about what color copper they're kind of going for, I'll definitely do it a little old school and I'll break out the color book. When I break out the color book, I'll kind of just go ahead and show them. Let's go see if I can do this in one swoop. Open to the page. Yes. I go ahead and kind of show them the colors that the level systems are so they can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. What's really great about this is you can kind of pop them out. So I'll be like, oh, do you enjoy this kind of color of copper? Of course, this is on usually white hair or platinum hair. So you do need to make sure that they are aware of that. But then you can kind of gauge where your formula is. Don't ever forget to utilize your color book. If I wanted more incubation too, I even take my little bib that I have on her and I'll just place it over her head because it's already on her, so I might as well if I want that extra lift. After she's done, she's going to process for the full processing time, and then I'm going to go ahead and blow her out, trim her, and style her with the steam pod. I'm like, so bright with the steam pod. by L'Oreal Professional. And then you're going to see the after pictures on my Instagram, which is at nat_doeshair. Make sure to tag L'Oreal Professional and Behind the Chair if you try any of these techniques with this copper transformation. And we are so excited to see what you guys create with this. So thank you so much, Behind the Chair and L'Oreal Professional, for having me all. See you guys soon.